ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो युतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नानाशास्त्रविचारणैकनिपुणो सद्धर्मसंस्थापको लोकानां हितकारिणो त्रिभुवने मान्यो शरण्याकरो राधाकृष्णपदारविन्दभजना नन्देन मत्तालिको वन्दे रूपसनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीव गोपालको। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नम ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। So welcome to this 9th episode of the Nectar of Instruction series, and today we will be looking at verse number 8 of Sri Upadeshamrita by Srila Rupa Gosvami. But before we proceed further, we want to congratulate His Grace Somagiri Prabhu, who is now, his initiated name is Somagiri Prabhu. He was actually, his Karmi name is Mark Zsombor. He is from Hungary. He has been attending these classes every single day, and today he was initiated by Ritvik system and by his Grace Sundar Gopal Prabhu as a Ritvik representative of Srila Prabhupada, and over Skype, because we can't travel at the moment. So when we meet him, then we will have the yajna and all that. In fact, it was his plan that he would come to Singapore on May 4th, which is tomorrow, and he would stay until July 24th. That was the original plan of his way back in the beginning of this year, but everything changed after the virus situation. So, but apratihata, nothing has stopped the spiritual progress, and today he has also received the initiation. So, I request all the devotees to congratulate His Grace Somagiri Prabhu for his massive step forward in his journey towards the lotus feet of Krishna. And this is the bliss, that more and more people come and take shelter of Srila Prabhupada, and in that way his movement grows with full solid devotees. Alright, with that we would like to start today's verse. So we will repeat each word, so please repeat after me. Tat Nama Rupa Charita Adi Su Kirtana Anusmrityoh Kramena Rasana Manasi Niyojya Tishtan Vraje Tat Anuragi Jana Anugami Kalam Nayet Akhilam Iti Upadesha Saram. This verse is very, very important, and it is in fact the essence of all instruction in spiritual life. So we will try to understand this verse today. So we will chant it first. So please chant after me each line. Tannama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtananu Smrityoh Kramena Rasana Manasi Niyojya Tishthan Vrajetad Anuragi Jananugami Kalam Nayedakhilametyupadesha Saram. So here in the last line, these two words here. This is a grammatical rule, I am just trying to explain how to pronounce it. So iti plus upadesha. So actually if this second word had started with a consonant instead of a vowel, then it would have been here I, iti. But because it's a vowel here, so this becomes Y, so it has to be pronounced as Y in the sense, if it was a consonant then we would say iti, but because it's a vowel in the second word, so it is like, we have to pronounce it like one word, ityupadesha, ityupadesha, as if it's ityu, upadesha, ityupadesha. So this is sandhi. E plus a becomes E plus u becomes u. So that way. So that's why we say Kalam Nayeda Khilametyupadesha Saram. That way. So again we will chant it. Tannama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtananu Smrityoh Kramena Rasana Manasi Niyojya Tishthan Vrajetad Anuragi Jananugami Kalam Nayedakhilametyupadesha Saram. So this, I will just chant it again and then in another tune for those of you who want to practice it in that tune. So first in the same tune and then in the second tune. Tannama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtananu Smrityo Kramena Rasana Manasi Niyojya Tishthan Vrajetad Anuragi Jananugami Kalam Nayedakhilametyupadesha Saram. Tannama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtananu Smrityoh Kramena Rasana Manasi Niyojya Tishthan Vrajetad Anuragi Jananugami Kalam Nayedakhilametyupadesha Saram. So, Tat of Lord Krishna, Nama, the holy name, Rupa, form, Charita, Adi, character, pastimes and so on. Sukirtana, in discussing and or chanting nicely. Anusmrityoh, and in remembering. Kramena, gradually. Rasana, the tongue. Manasi, and one's mind. Niyojya, engaging. Tishthan, residing. Vraje, in Vraja. Tat, to Lord Krishna. Anuragi, attached. Jana, persons. Anugami, following. Kalam, time. Nayet, should utilize. Akhilam, full. Iti, thus. Upadesha, of advice or instruction. Saram, the essence. So here you can see, when it's divided, it is in this form, iti and upadesha. When it's together, ityupadesha. Very nice, important words are here in this verse. So we'll read the translation and purport. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: the essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time, 24 hours a day, in nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name, transcendental form, qualities, and eternal pastimes, thereby gradually engaging one's tongue and mind. In this way, one should reside in Vraja, Goloka Vrindavan Dham, and serve Krishna under the guidance of devotees. One should follow in the footsteps of the Lord's beloved devotees who are deeply attached to His devotional service. Everything is there in this. There is chanting, there is remembering, there is hearing, then there is residing in the holy place, serving Krishna, and in the association of devotees, and following in their footsteps. So these are actually these things. In fact, it is said in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 22nd chapter, this is the verse, 128th verse, the 5 important limbs of devotional service. There are many things that one must do in devotional service, and those were listed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he was instructing Sri Sanatana Goswami. And those have been described in detail in the Hari Bhakti Vilas and also in the Nectar of Devotion to a certain extent. Actually, all of them are described in the Nectar of Devotion also. So here in this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after this, I think 64 limbs of devotional service have been described, all the 64 things that a devotee should do. Then after mentioning all that, then he repeated these 5. He repeated 5. Those are these. He said these 5 are the most important of all the 64. And they are as follows. Sadhu Sangha Nama Kirtan Bhagavat Shravan Mathuravas Shrimurtir Shraddhaya Sevan. This is simple Bengali verse. Sadhu Sangha Nama Kirtan Bhagavat Shravan Mathuravas Shrimurtir Shraddhaya Sevan. So, what are they? Sadhu Sangha first. Association of devotees. Sadhu only a devotee. Other people are not actually sadhu. Only a devotee is sadhu. It is said, Dvau bhuta sargau lokesmin daiva asura evacha Vishnu bhakta smrito daiva asurastad viparyayah. There are only 2 kinds of people in the world. Dvau bhuta sargau lokesmin Daiva asura evacha. One is Daiva, one is Asura. Daiva means godly or devotees, and Asura means demoniac. The saintly and the demoniac. 2 types of people are there in this world. So who are saintly and who are demoniac? Vishnu Bhakta Smrito Daiva. Vishnu Bhaktas, Vaishnavas, they are Daiva or the saintly people, sadhus. Asuras Tad Viparyayah. Anybody who is not, who is against the worship of Vishnu or Krishna, he is a Asura. Simple definition. So, we judge people according to this test tube. Very simple. So, is he favorable towards God consciousness or is not? And God consciousness means God, not demigods, God. So, Krishna. So, anybody who is against this, sometimes it so happens that a person is a demigod worshipper, but then he has some favorable attitude towards Krishna. And sometimes the demigod worshipper has no favorable attitude towards Krishna. So, the second one is worse. He is an outright demon. The first one has a chance to become a Daiva, but it's still not Daiva platform completely. It is a good, he is in good platform, at least he is favorable. If he receives good instruction from a pure devotee and if he agrees to surrender, then he can also rise to the platform of sadhu. So sadhu actually is satsanga. Sat means eternal. So the satsanga means actually this word satsanga is used very loosely nowadays. Any bhajans, demigod or God or some Baba or whatever, they say satsanga. No. Sat means Satchidananda, Sat, eternal. That association which will give you entrance into the eternal kingdom of God, Vaikuntha. That is Satsanga. And Sat, real association is that. And only devotees can do that. As Narottam Das Thakur says, Chhadiya Vaishnav Seva Nistar Paiche Keba. Actually, a little bit sidetrack. This verse, Chhadiya Vaishnav Seva Nistar Paiche Keba, in this form, it doesn't exist anywhere. Srila Prabhupada always said it like that. But actually, it is a slight different variation of it, and that is to be found in Narottam Das Thakur's song in the Prarthana book that he has written. I think if you actually Google it, Chhadiya Vaishnav Seva Nistar Paiche Keva, you will get to a link of a song in KK songs. Maybe some of you can put that link there, and we will look at it in the comments later on, because in its original form, in the way that Prabhupada mentions it, is not found anywhere. But it's the same thing, differently worded, that's all. So anyway, without Vaishnavas, we cannot go to the Sat or the Anamayam Loka. That means Vaikuntha, which is without any anxiety. So therefore, Sadhu Sangha is Vaishnavas, association of devotees. That is the first important thing among the 5 most important things that we must do as devotees. Second thing is Nama Kirtan. Nama means name, the holy names, chanting of the holy names, both in Japa and Kirtan. Both we have to do. Scheduled number of rounds, 16 rounds every day, and Kirtan, congregational chanting with devotees. Sankirtan means congregational chanting. Bhagavat Shravan. Shravan means to hear, and Bhagavat means topics of Bhagavan, which is Srimad Bhagavatam and also Bhagavad Gita. Anything that is spoken by Krishna or spoken about Krishna by authorized acharyas, that is Bhagavat Shravan. Mathuravas means to stay in Mathura or a temple. So you may ask, we are householders and we can stay in the temple. So first of all, make the house as a temple, and temple means Krishna is the center, not me, not the TV that is the big altar in everybody's house. That is the biggest thing in the house. That is the altar. Everybody worships that with the remote, like that. Arati. So that means it's not temple. Temple means, of course, if you see like these classes on the TV, or if it is Prabhupada videos or something like that, that's all right. But materialistic videos we should not watch. Then Mathura Vas. In other way, living in the house and making it a temple, and coming to the temple. Because the real thing about association, about what is great about Mathura or a holy place of Krishna, is that it is filled with devotees. Just like if you go to a conference of, sometimes they have these tech conferences or business conferences. So, or they have clubs, different kinds of associations to promote different kinds of activities. So, a holy place is a conference or confluence of saintly people. And to achieve Mathuravas, to achieve residence in the place of Krishna, either in the holy place or the temple. Temple is also a holy place. It should not be taken as, we should never misunderstand the temple of Krishna, where especially the orders of the pure devotees are followed and everything. It is a place of pilgrimage. It is actually embassy of Vrindavan. It is actually Vrindavan. There is no difference between Vrindavan, Mathura and the temple. So that should be very strongly understood. In fact, Narottam Das Thakur said that Tirthayatra Parishram Kevala Maner Brahma. Tirthayatra Parishram, the effort to go to Tirthayatra, that means holy places, pilgrimage tour, that is actually, it is a kind of mental satisfaction only. But actually, if one is Krishna conscious, wherever he is, that place will become pilgrimage. So that is the point. We have to stay either in the holy place of Krishna or in the temple, or if one is a householder, as Prabhupada said, morning and evening one should come to the temple. So in other words, as much as possible we have to come to the temple. And so that is the fourth item. Fifth item is Shri Murtir Shraddhaya Sevan, to serve the deity of Lord Krishna. So the serving the deity of Lord Krishna involves dressing him, Abhishek, and all the deity worship, and also cooking for him. That is also Shri Murtir Shraddhaya Sevan. Shraddhaya Sevan. Sevan means to serve. Shraddha means with full faith. So we have to serve the deities in various ways. So temple is an establishment where the variegated services of Krishna are established and running. So that's why we sing every morning. The spiritual master engages the disciples. Shri Vigrahara Dhananityanana Shringaratan Mandiramarjanadau. To Murtir Shraddhaya Sevan, deity worship does not only mean dressing the deities and doing offering or doing arati, but cleansing the Lord's temple, maintaining the Lord's preaching, the temple, the festivals, organized festivals for the Lord, everything. This is all Murtir, Shri Murtir Shraddhaya Sevan. So if one directly do puja, he can also still serve deities by serving the temple, by helping organize festivals. Sometimes devotees here, they sponsor some of the items for the festivals, all these things, and for temple maintenance and everything. All these things are Shri Murtir Shraddhaya Sevan. So these are all important aspects of devotional life. So Sadhusanga, Nam Kirtan, Bhagavat Shran, Mathuravas, Shri Murtir Shraddhaya Sevan. So these 5 things are important, and all of these 5 are explained in today's verse. The essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time, 24 hours a day, in nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine's name, transcendental form, qualities and eternal pastimes, thereby gradually engaging one's tongue and mind, which is also Bhagavat Shravan. Chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name, transcendental form, this is all done through hearing of Bhagavat Shravan, the top of Krishna. In this way, one should reside in Vraja, Goloka Vrindavan Dham, which is also a temple. So Mathuravas, that is also there, and serve Krishna, which is Shri Murtir Shraddhaya Sevan, under the guidance of devotees, which is Sadhu Sangha. All 5 are here. One should follow in the footsteps of the Lord's beloved devotees who are deeply attached to His service. All the credit to the means of that, of His, like that. So in the previous verse we have seen Syat Krishna Nama Charitadi Sitapya Vidya. So Syat Krishna Nama, about Krishna's name and all, is all like sugar candy, but we don't have immediate relish, attraction for it, because we are in a diseased condition. So that is in the previous verse, 7th verse. So continuing from there, so therefore it is Tan Nama. So it is Krishna's Nama and Charita, Rupa, Charitadi. So in the previous verse it is about not having the attraction and how to have that attraction, how to come to the place of having attraction for these descriptions of God and devotional service and Krishna consciousness as a whole. And that is even more detail, explained in more detail in this verse. So he's in the if you remember the yesterday's verse, Sitapya Vidya, Shat Krishna Nama Charitadi Sitapya Vidya, Pitto Patapta Rasanasya Narochikano. It is not palatable in the beginning, but Kintu Arad Anudinam Khalu Seva Jushta Swadvi Kramad Bhavati Tad Gadamula Hantri. So, easy to. So, if you see, Kintu means every day, Khalu means certainly, with great attention, respect, and Sa, the holy name, Jusha, the medicine of holy name, Jushta means to or to chant. Then Swadvi Kramad, and it will become gradually tasty and tasteful. These of material life, Gadamula Hantri. So now how to take it every day? Now this is how to take it every day. What is this Adarat means? So what is that care? So how carefully means what all should I do to carefully take care of it? Of what? Of this devotional service. And how every day Anudinam. Here is every day. Today's verse, Kalam Nayet Akhilam Iti Upadesha Saram. So same. So this is in more detail. So of course, Smriti group of words we will break down further, because there are two things here: the subject and how to. The subject is Tannama Rupa Charitadi, and how to actually chat about them and remember them. Sukirtananu and Anusmritya. Sukirtana and Anusmritya. So, Tan Nama Rupa Charitadi. So, Tan means of Krishna, Nama name, Rupa form, Charita pastimes or descriptions, Adi etc. Beginning with Nama Rupa Charita, all the items of pertaining to Krishna. That is name, form, pastimes, qualities, paraphernalia, entourage, everything related to Krishna. So this is Abhinnatva, Nama Naminoh. So they are non-different from Krishna. Krishna's name, Krishna. So when we are reading Bhagavad Gita, what is the meaning of non-different from Krishna? Means when we are chanting Krishna, we are with Krishna. When we are reading Bhagavad Gita, we are directly listening to what Krishna is saying. We should not think Krishna is somewhere and Bhagavad Gita is here and okay. No, Bhagavad Gita, when we are reading, Krishna is directly speaking through that book to us. So that is actually a fact. So Nama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtana. No. Now, all these Krishnas, all the topics about Krishna, form, name, everything. Sukirtana. Nicely. What is nicely? Kirtana. Kirtana means to sing or to glorify. Even this is also Kirtan. Now we are describing about Krishna, discussing about Krishna's topic, this nectar instruction. This is Kirtan. Kirtan does not only mean with when there is musical instruments, that is only Kirtan. Kirtan means even glorifying the Lord. Even this Bhagavatam class, Bhagavad Gita class, all these are Kirtan. Now Sukirtana, when the word Su, when the prefix Su is added, that means good. Medhasaha. Sumedhasaha. Medhasa means intelligence. Sumedhasaha means very, very intelligent. Very in a added emphasis, with added emphasis. So Sukirtana, in discussing or chanting nicely. What does this nicely means? Slowly. No, not like that. No. Nicely means, first of all, in the proper way. In the proper way. That means, what is the proper way? Among devotees, Avaishnava Mukhodgirnam. First, that is first aspect of it. Avaishnava Mukhodgirnam Putam Harikathamratam Shishaha. This is in the Padma Puran. It is stated that today it's quite slow, exceptionally slow. So we will be a little bit slow in the movement of the screen, otherwise the whole computer will hang like what happened yesterday. And there might be a real interruption there. So, Avaishnava Mukhodgiranam. That means Putam Harikatamritam. Now, topics of Krishna are like nectar. So, the topics of Krishna are like nectar. Okay, you give me some time. But it is like milk. Milk is very nutritious food. So here is the verse. Milk is very nutritious food, but if it's by a snake, then that milk is poison. So similarly, topics of Krishna heard from a non-Vaishnava, Avaishnava, that is also poison. So therefore, discussing nicely means in the relation of what is devotee. Because there are many who say also they are Krishna devotees and they do Bhagavad Katha. You go Bhagavad Shravan, oh, one of the 5 things is Bhagavad Shravan, so let me go to all Bhagavad Katha everywhere. No, that is also not correct. Because Bhagavad Katha should be again from a Vaishnava, it should not be done. But you read that. So Sukirtana means we have to do in proper association and from the authorized person. Now we are discussing Bhagavad Gita, but we are basing it on Prabhupada's books. Even if I speak on something, which is no parampara, nothing, if I just speak on something, that is not proper. So we are discussing a topic here based on Prabhupada's books. So that is the point. So we have to repeat the Acharya's explanations because they know. So this is called Anukirtan also. Anukirtanam Tava. Anukirtanam, it is explained in many places also. And here also in this word, in this shloka there is Anusmrityo. Anusmrityo. Anusmrityo means, smrit means to remember. Anusmritya means to remember according to the directions of the Acharyas, not in our own speculated manner. Because remembering means I can remember in any way, right? But no, Anusmrityo, I have to follow. That is why it's called here Ami, following in the footsteps of the Lord's devotees. This is all very important words there. If we want to go deep, we can go very deep in each of these. So Kirtana in the proper association and with full attention. So Sukirtana means discussing and chanting nicely with full attention also. Not simply inattentive, fully attentive. And try to apply all the things that we learn in the association of devotees. All this constitutes Sukirtana. So Anusmrityo. Anusmrityo means remembering in the ways of. Actually, there are verses for these, but I am very used this today because it's very slow. So I don't want the stream to be interrupted. Let's see. This is okay. What I am mess around with. I am just go the explanation. Many nice verses which have the word Anukirtana, Anusmaranam, what is that? Ashravanam. All these things are there. So when the word Anu is used, it is following in the footsteps of authorized devotees. So Kramena Rasana Manasi Niyojya. Rasana means tongue and Manasi means mind. Niyojya means and reside. means in Vrindavan, Vraja Vrindavan or temple. Tishthan Vraje tad anuragi jananugami. Tad was to start Krishna. Anuragi, attached person. So people attached to Lord Krishna, that is called tad anuragi. Jananugami. So tad anuragi jana. Sorry. People attached to Lord Krishna, that means devotees. They are called tad anuragi jana. Anugami means to follow. In the word anu. From the word anu. Na. Anu means atom. Paramanu means molecule. But anu means which is without that emphasis. Anu. So this anu, the dental anu, anugami means to follow. Kalam means time. It should utilize in full. From the essence of all advice instruction. So again, we'll read the translation. The essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time, 24 hours a day. You see, the last line is coming first in the English. So the order. So we have to utilize our full time in nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name, transcendental form, qualities and eternal pastimes, thereby gradually engaging one's tongue and mind. In this way, one should reside in Vraja, Goloka Vrindavan Dham, and serve Krishna under the guidance of devotees. One should follow in the footsteps of Lord's beloved devotees, deeply attached to his devotional service. So purport. In the purport, okay, before we go again, there is one more thing here in the translation, which is Kalam Nayet Akhilam Upadesharam. So, if I could have shown the verses, it would have been nice. Maybe some of you can include the verses in the comments. Later we can see all those verses, because I think this is going to go for a crash. The whole thing is going to be jammed if I use the software today. So I will be very gentle on it today. And so in the 22nd chapter of the Madhya Leela, this word Akhila is used. There it is said, Krishnartha Akhila Cheshta. Krishnartha Akhila Cheshta. That means the devotee should be engaged in various activities in Akhila means in various or fully engaged in different various ways. Krishnarthe Akhila Cheshta, in various activities connected with Krishna for the purpose of Krishna. Krishnarthe, for the purpose of Krishna. So a devotee should engage in various activities. And Kalam Nayed, one should utilize one's time, full time. That means we should not waste any time. And that is also explained in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Kshantir Avyartha Kalatvam. So Avyartha Kalatvam is mentioned there. That means a devotee should not waste any time. He is very conscious. A person who is a devotee is actually advancing seriously, he will make sure he will not feel satisfied if time is wasted. So time should not be wasted. Avyartha Kalatam. Vyartha means wasted. Avyartha means no wastage of time. Fully productive in devotional service. And when we say no wastage of time, there are many productivity people out there who teach how to be productive in life. But they want to be productive in doing material activities which are in themselves unproductive. They want to carefully do something which actually should not even be done. That is their productivity. So productivity means first we should know what should be done and what should not be done, and then utilize one's time on what should be done. So what should be done is devotional service. In human life, we have no other business in human life than to engage in devotional service. Jivasya tattva jigyasa nartho yasya karma bhe. There is no other reason in human life to live than to advance in devotional service. So everything else is actually a waste of time. So that has to be first established. Therefore, these productivity people, they do not know how to be productive because the first step is wrong already. Their understanding of life is wrong. Nate vidu swarthagatim hi Vishnu. The rest, all the steps, they may do it right, but if the first step is gone, everything is gone. So they do everything nicely, but they do on the basis of the body, and this is why they are failure. They are not actually productive, they are completely unproductive. They are doing carefully something which actually should never be done. You see? So, no wastage of time means engaging full Krishna consciousness all the time. So, purport. Since the mind may be one's enemy or one's friend, one has to train the mind to become his friend. So, where is the verse? So, Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, texts 5 and 6. So, the fifth verse says, actually I don't remember the Sanskrit very well for the fifth verse. It says, the mind can be one's friend and one's enemy as well. And the next verse, 6:6, it is said, Bandhuratmatmanastasya yenatmaivatmana jitah anatmanastu shatrutve vartet atmaiva shatruvat. So, Bandhuratmatmanastasya. So, the mind which is controlled, it is the best of friends, and when the mind is not controlled, it is the worst of enemies. So, now the mind can be either. When it is serving Krishna, then it is the best of friends. When it is not serving Krishna, when it is not engaged in Krishna consciousness, it is the worst enemy. Because it will drag us. Why are we here in this material world? Because yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tamevaiti kaunteya sadatad bhava bhavitah. At the last point, at the time of death, whatever we think, that we will attain in the next life. And that last point, the thought at the last point will remain, will depend on sadatad bhava bhavitah. What we have been always thinking in life, what has been our most constant thought in life, that will come at the time of death. So therefore, if we are in this material world, that means we did not think of Krishna. Because if we would have thought of Krishna, we would have not been here. We would be with Krishna in Vaikuntha, in Krishna Loka. So we are not there, we are here. That means we did not think of Krishna. That means in our last life we did not practice thinking of Krishna at all. So because of that enemy, which is our mind, we have taken this birth and we are continuing still. So the mind has been our enemy. It is dragging us life after life in this material world. Acting as our friend. Acting as our friend, it is actually a biggest traitor. Our mind is our biggest traitor. Because it acts like a friend. Anything you want, first thing it will consult you. It is ready for you to, it is there to listen to you. Because when we have a problem, we want to tell someone, and oftentimes we just tell it to our own mind, and our mind says yes, correct. That guy is a rascal. Just do something to him, and that way we commit sinful activities, and people commit murders even. Why? Because the mind is just there, and it is just completely dragging us to all these sinful activities. And whenever we want to, we have some bad thoughts, we confide with our mind, and our mind will bring out like a mirror, because cheto darpana marjanam, darpana, the cleansing of the heart is considered like the cleansing of the mirror. The heart is like a mirror, the mind is like a mirror. So whatever you put in front of it, it will reflect. So whenever, suppose you develop a hate for somebody, immediately the mind's business is, it will bring out all the memories in the past, whatever that hate was, whatever can incite more hate towards that person. Oh, he did this, he did that, he did this, he did that, all these things. So in this way, the mind, like a mirror, it is bringing out all those reflections of the past memories and adding fuel to the fire completely. And the desire, the hate intensifies. And in this way, we are creating unnecessary quarrel among ourselves. All this actually, there are verses for this, but I am very afraid to touch that software today. So, please, maybe Vishwambar Prabhu, please come to my rescue. In the comments, maybe there will be some help. I am hoping for that. So, since the mind may be one's enemy or one's friend, one has to train the mind to become his friend. The Krishna consciousness movement is especially meant for training the mind to be always engaged in Krishna's business. This is the point. Our whole activities, Krishnarthe Akhila Cheshta, so many activities connected with Krishna. Cooking, worshipping the deity, in the arati and dressing, abhishek, and sweeping the temple, or distributing Krishna's books, or raising funds for the temple, or printing magazines, or what else? So many activities, organizing festivals, whatever needs to be bought for the temple, the supplies, everything, take care of that, and now discuss Krishna's topics here, like what we are doing live stream. In this way, so many ways, so many unlimited ways there are to serve Krishna. Why are we doing all these things? To control our mind. Tani sarvani samyamya yukta asita matparaha vashe hi yasyendriyani tasya prajna pratisthita. Chapter 2, text 61 of Bhagavad Gita. The whole point of yoga means control our mind, control our senses, and engage yukta asita matparaha. Engage in Krishna's service. In that way, vashehi yasyendriyani, completely control the senses by engaging it in Krishna's service. Tasya prajna pratisthita, he is a man of steady intelligence. So the intelligence has to be sharpened in order to control the mind. So the Krishna consciousness movement is especially meant for training the mind to be always engaged in Krishna's business. The mind contains hundreds and thousands of impressions. You see, this is darpana, impressions. And usually darpan, a normal mirror, will just reflect what is in front of it at present. But this mind is a much more complicated mirror. It will remember, it has a very big memory, terabytes and gigabytes, I don't know what bytes of memory. And it will reflect whatever our thought is, it will reflect all the past memories, sometimes everything. And sometimes just random memories come. These are all explained in the Bhagavatam. In fact, sometimes dreams happen. Sometimes we think we are flying, in the dream. But where did we get that idea? How do we know how it feels when we fly? Sometimes we get this dream that I'm falling from a high place, and that when you fall from a high place, your stomach just that feeling of your breath stopping up. So that feeling we will get in the dream. How do we know how it feels when we drop? That means we did drop sometime in the past, maybe last life or many previous lives, many lives before. So these impressions of the mind are there from millions of years past. Sometimes they just come in a bubble. We cannot understand. Like I gave the example many times in class. There was this incident. I have seen that video of this boy who was an Australian 19-year-old boy who met with a car accident, and he went into a coma for a week. And after waking up from that coma, he saw his parents and he immediately started speaking Chinese, Mandarin, so fluently that even a Chinese in China wouldn't be as fluent. Even a professor in China, he was comparable to that standard. So, and in his whole life, he had no idea what Chinese was. Never. And he couldn't speak English. He was speaking Chinese. And it took him almost a month to get back his English. And eventually he went to China and he became very popular there in Beijing, in a university and all that. So the thing is, how did that Chinese come to him after an accident? So that means he was a Chinese before. And all those memories just, for some reason, the bubble just surfaced. In the underwater there are so many bubbles, sometimes trapped here and there. And when there is some shaking of the earth or something, then all the bubbles from below, they come on all the way to the top. So something just shook his consciousness up, and his memory of last life just came. So although we forget our past life, so sometimes some impressions carry forward and then they just appear. And there is no explanation why they appear in that way, but this is the reason. So this is all explained in the Bhagavatam actually. So, mind contains hundreds and thousands of impressions, not only this, also of lives of the past. These impressions sometimes come in contact with one another and produce contradictory pictures. Like we know gold, we know mountain, and sometimes these two conceptions mix and we see a golden mountain in the dreams, or it comes in our thought. We just mix different things and something else we come across, which normally we cannot find in this world. Of course, there are golden mountains. There is the Sumeru mountain which is golden, but in this world there is no such description. But we sometimes see these in dreams, or sometimes we see things which we have never seen before. Like I also had dreams where many times I dreamt of falling from a great heights, and especially when I was much younger, when I was 5 years old, 3-4 years old, until when I was 8, 9, 10 years old, I used to have this dream always that I was just floating in space, just like unending space. I don't know where I was falling into. I used to have that, and also sometimes of war scene where everything shooting is going on and I was trying to escape and everything, running here, running there. So these things are all, sometimes in the past it just happened. So they're just coming back. These impressions sometimes come in contact with one another and produce contradictory pictures. In this way, the mind's function can become dangerous for a conditioned soul. How is it dangerous? Because this is not only happening in dreams and thoughts, but also in actions. Why people have different proclivities or different tendencies in life. Why somebody is drawn toward sinful habits, he likes them more from his very beginning of life, and some they do not, they refrain from that and they engage in more devotional service from the very young age, or they're interested in different things like maybe studies or some musical instrument. There's a child prodigies, 3-year-old and he can play a piano like an expert. How these things happen, these because of past lives continuity, that tendencies which they carry from the past life, so they carry forward in this life. So why are they dangerous then? Because these are all distractions from our real business. Therefore, when one is a devotee, born in a devotee family and engaged in devotional service from a very young age, we should understand that person, he took to devotional service, but then now he is continuing from where he left off. See? So this is why sometimes we see children in devotee families and other children, they go into things like drug abuse and all these things. Why? Because of the previous life. So this is very dangerous. If we do not engage in Krishna service, it will take us many, many places. So it is said that we don't remember what our past life was and what our desires were, but Krishna remembers, and he arranges all the facilities in this life so that all our desires of past life, according to what we deserve, can be experienced in this life. So he puts us in a family accordingly. Maybe if we were interested in all kind of sinful activity, maybe put in a sinful family, and then from there we continue from birth. From as we grow, we continue and have bad company. All these are arranged by the Lord to facilitate our direction of thought in our last life. So therefore, it is very dangerous. Students of psychology are aware of the mind's various psychological changes. In fact, the other day, Prithviraj Prabhu, I think he also watching this video now. So he shared with me that some psychological statistics that in a day, an average human has about 50,000 to 80,000 thoughts, which would come to about 2,500 thoughts an hour. And if we cut down the sleeping hours and only count the waking hours, it's amazing how many thoughts we can hold in our head. It's like over 3,000, 4,000 thoughts in an hour. There are only 3,600 seconds in an hour. So every single second our mind is going in different places, you see. So how the mind is so chanchala. That's why Arjuna said in the 6th chapter, 34th verse, Chanchalam hi manah Krishna pramathi bhalavadhrudam tasya ham nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkaram. This mind is so flickering and so unsteady that to control this is more difficult than to control the wind, more difficult than to control the storm. So that mind, that kind of uncontrollable mind, we have to tame it. To tame a lion is easier than to tame the mind, So a lion is very dangerous. You go near it and your life is in danger. Our mind is even more dangerous than that. But it acts like a friend. It's like a cunning jackal. And we take it into confidence. So we have to tame such a wild animal called the mind. So students of psychological changes. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, text 6, it is said, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tameva iti kaunteya sada tadbhava bhavitah. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fail. At the time of death, the mind and intelligence of a living entity create the subtle form of a certain type of body for the next life. If the mind suddenly thinks of something not very congenial, one has to take a corresponding birth in the next life. On the other hand, if one can think of Krishna at the time of death, he can be transferred to the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan. This process of transmigration is very subtle. Therefore, Srila Rupa Gosvami advises devotees to train their minds in order that they will be unable to remember anything other than Krishna. Akhilam Upadesha Saram. So, the advice that Smartavya Satatam Vishnur Vismartavyo Najatu Chit in Padma Puran, the sum and substance of all advice is always remember Krishna, never forget him. Always remember Krishna is a positive, and never forget him is a negative, in a negative way. Never. But we will understand the always remember Krishna only if you understand the never forget him. So always remember Krishna. Yeah, I'm always remembering Prabhu. Morning Mangalarti, I'm waking up and I'm chanting Hare Krishna and dressing deities and cooking, and afternoon I'm cooking for Krishna, or doing this and that work, raising funds and this and that. So it looks like fine, Even I'm talking from the perspective of a temple devotee. Engaged in all Krishna services whole day. Yeah, I'm thinking of Krishna. Always remember Krishna. Yes, I'm doing. It is when we look at the never forget Krishna, then we look at it more closely. Oh, okay. At every single moment, am I forgetting him or remembering him? Am I forgetting him or remembering him? So if you see, it's just a few moments in the day that we actually focus on Krishna. Whereas the rest of the day, we are sometimes just, we are in our own thing, or we are just sleeping or eating, or just, we're concerned about our own thing. We're not really concerned about Krishna's work, Krishna's service as much as we should. So, in fact, there is a sculptor. He was an expert sculptor. I forget his name. It's a saying that perfection is not when there is nothing more to be added. Perfection is when there is nothing more to be taken out. That is perfection. So in the sense that when there is nothing else that you can take out, like suppose when we are remembering, so let's talk about remembering Krishna. Perfection is not when more things have to be added. No. Or there is my time is fully occupied. There's nothing more to be added. No. But when there is nothing more to be subtracted. That means we have to do in such a way that is completely Krishna service, and there is not a moment lost in Krishna service. Not a moment lost without remembrance of Krishna. That's why in that fourth canto, that purport, there is that verse, Sahanis tan mahachidram. What is that? Sahanis tan mahachidram. I forgot that. Some from Vishnu Puran, I think. So it says that the biggest anomaly, the biggest mistake, the biggest problem is that even a second of forgetfulness of Krishna is the biggest undesirable thing. That is the biggest imperfection. So that is how we should look at it. So when there is nothing more to be taken out, that means you cannot point at a single second in your day where there has not been remembrance of Krishna. That is perfection. Then actually one is always remembering Krishna. So on the other hand, if one can think of Krishna at the time of death, he can be transferred to the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan. This of transmigration is very subtle. Therefore, Srila Rupa Gosvami advises devotees to train their minds in order that they will be unable to remember anything other than Krishna. That's why in the beginning one is advised that, especially when one is just entering into devotional service and he is engaged in so many other material kind of activities. So in the beginning it is advised that add Krishna to your life. Add Krishna to your life. So according to, apart from what you're doing, just chant Hare Krishna. That is the beginning advice. Just like Prabhupada, when he went to America, he just chanted in the park. And everyone just danced around him and sang along. It was one of the many items in their life at that point of time. So in the beginning it's add Krishna to your life. The perfection is subtract everything other than Krishna from your life. Everything other than Krishna from your life has to be subtracted. That is the perfection. When one actually is advanced more and more, then adding Krishna into one life means there are so many other things, and that Krishna is one of the items. Now, Krishna has to take over the entire time of one's existence, and everything else should be driven out. Everything else should be driven out, and then that is perfect. Just like a sculpture. What is a sculpture? It is one big block of stone, but then the sculptor, he removes so much of rock, he chips away so much of it and makes a beautiful vigraha of Krishna out of it. And that is perfection. Everything else that should not be there has been taken out. Now the real. So a sculptor, when he sees a stone, he can see the form that he wants to make out of it, although others cannot see it. He just have to remove everything that is hindering the sight of that form, and then the form will be revealed. So that's how he sees it. So we should be similarly, it's not about just adding Krishna into one's life, but subtracting everything that is not Krishnaized. You may ask, what is not Krishna in this? Vasudeva Sarvamiti, everything is Krishna. Yes, but what is Anukulyasya Sankalpa? What is favorable to Krishna consciousness? Krishna is everything. That is Maya Tatamidam Sarvam Jagadavyakta Murtina. Krishna is everywhere. But what will favor my thinking of Krishna? In what way, what engagements will be favorable for my remembrance of Krishna? So those have to be accepted. And what are the things that will not help me remember Krishna? Those things have to be rejected. So Anukulyasya Sankalpa, Pratukulyasya Varjanam. One of the first two of the limbs of surrender, or the aspects of surrender. Similarly, the tongue should be trained to speak only of Krishna and to taste only Krishna Prasada. The mind should be only thinking of Krishna. Actually, there is a nice verse in the Mukundamala Stotra also, and also in the Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 80th chapter, verses 3 and 4. Very nice verse. So maybe somebody can put that up in the comments. Tenth canto, chapter 80, texts 3 and 4. I have not memorized them yet. They are very simple, small verses, but I haven't memorized them yet. Very nice way it is described. So, one has to train their minds in order to remember Krishna always, and the tongue should be trained to speak only of Krishna and to taste only Krishna Prasada. Srila Rupa Gosvami further advises, Tishthan Vraje, one should live in Vrindavan or any part of Vrajabhumi. Vrajabhumi or the land of Vrindavan is supposed to be 84 kroshas in area. 1 krosha equals 2 square miles. So when one makes Vrindavan his residence, he should take shelter of an advanced devotee there. In this way, one should always think of Krishna and his pastimes. This is further elucidated by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.294. Krishnam smaran janam chasya preshtham nijasam samihitam tattat katharatas chasau kuryad vasam vraje sada. A devotee should always reside in the transcendental realm of Vraja and always engage in Krishnam smaran janam chasya preshtham. Vraja means Vrindavan. And engage in Krishnam smaran janam chasya preshtham, the remembrance of Sri Krishna and his beloved associates. By following in the footsteps of such associates and by entering under their eternal guidance, one can acquire an intense desire to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Intense desire is very important. Intense or dense. Sandra, the word is Sandra. Sandrananda means, intense ecstasy. Ananda means bliss. Sandrananda means intense ecstasy. So the intense means, what is dense, for example? If there are many people, for example, densely populated area means, if there are many people per square kilometer of a city, then that is more dense than suppose only very few people per square kilometer. So that is dense. So more people per area. So similarly, more dense remembrance, intense desire, intense remembrance means the more dense our remembrance becomes. That means the more seconds in our day are spent in remembering Krishna, the more it will become denser and denser and denser. The thought of Krishna and the desires to serve Krishna, everything should become dense and intense. Instead of diluted, sometime Krishna service and mostly Maya. In this way, the kind of dilute thing will not work very much. There is a story of this a man who wanted to cook, but he put a fire and he put the pot on the tree top, and he's wondering why it is not cooking. Hare, you put the thing on the fire. How, if you put so far from the fire, how will the fire benefit? How will the pot be benefited by the fire? So similarly, if we want to advance, and if our bhajanna pakvo, if our devotional service is uncooked or immature, pakva means to cook, pachanti, and so to cook. So apakva means uncooked or immature. If our devotional service is uncooked, immature, we may fall down. But if it has to be cooked, then we have to be in the fire of Krishna consciousness and very near, not very far away. So we have to be in association of devotion. All these 5 things we have to do as much as possible. What are them? Sadhu Sangha, Nam Kirtan, Bhagavat Shravan, Mathuravash, Srimurtir, Shraddhaya Sevan. So these things we have to do always. A devotee should always reside in the transcendental realm of Vraja and always engage in Krishnam Smaran Janam Chasya Preshtham, the remembrance of Sri Krishna and his beloved associates. By following in the footsteps of such associates and by entering under their eternal guidance, one can acquire an intense desire to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Again, Srila Rupa Goswami states in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in the next verse, Seva sadhaka rupena siddharupena chatrahi tadbhavalipsuna karya vrajalokānusārataha. In the transcendental realm of Vrajadham, one should serve the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna with a feeling similar to that of his associates, and one should place himself under the direct guidance of a particular associate of Krishna and should follow in his footsteps. This method is applicable both in the stage of sadhana, spiritual practices executed while in the stage of bondage, and in the stage of sadhya, God realization, where one is a siddha purusha or a spiritually perfected soul. So, In the sadhana, when we are doing our sadhana, that means sadhana means when we are doing our regular practice according to the orders of the spiritual master. Now we are doing according to the order. Oh, the Guru said chant 16 rounds, therefore I am chanting. Otherwise, if there was no order by the Guru, today I will chant 2 rounds. No, what is there? That kind of. We can easily slip back. So, to keep us at a standard, so the Guru has orders, and we have to follow the order until we acquire a taste and follow the order properly, avoiding offenses and everything, taking good care of chanting and everything nicely, and engaging in Krishna service of Vaishnavas, everything. Then one will come to a stage of chanting where he does not need to be goaded anymore. He doesn't want to stop chanting. That kind of that level of chanting, that is a pure chanting. So in our sadhana stage, this is called Vaidhi Bhakti. Vaidhi Bhakti means Vidhi Anusar, following the rules. Vidhi means rules. So Vidhi Anusar. So doing our devotional service according to the rules established by Sadhu Shastra Guru. So this is called Vaidhi Bhakti. And when one is more automatically, spontaneously attracted to Krishna, then he engages in Raganuga Bhakti. Raga Anuga. That is called today's verse also. Tad Anuragi Jananugami. To follow those people who are having raga, at spontaneous attachment for Krishna, like Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, and the cowherd boys, the gopis, the cows, they all have natural attraction for Krishna. So to follow one of them. But in the sadhana stage, we are not in a level where, okay, I want to follow Nanda Maharaj, or I want to follow Radharani, or I want to follow Tulsi Devi. We are not in the stage to imitate all these things. So now, what we definitely know is Srila Prabhupada is also a confidential servitor, our spiritual master. Once a bona fide spiritual master, a pure devotee spiritual master, he is actually a confidential servitor of the Lord. So that's what we sing in the morning every time. What is that? Nikunjayuno ratikele siddhyaye Yayalibhir yuktirapekshaniya tatrati dakshad ativallabhasya vande guru shri charanaravindam. So the Guru, he is an expert in assisting the gopis in serving the divine couple Sri Radha and Krishna. So he is a very intimate associate, and he is a resident of Vrindavan. So by following his instructions, we advance in devotional service. We don't have to imagine, whom should I follow? Maybe I will follow the cow, maybe I will follow the peacock, maybe I will follow the parrot, maybe I will follow the gopis, maybe I will follow the cowherd boys. We cannot imitate all these things in the current platform. Now, in our sadhana platform, we have to follow the instructions of the spiritual master. Our spiritual master is already a confidential servitor of Krishna. His orders we have to follow. First, perfect. We have so many anartha nivritta. So when Prabhupada was asked this question, he was irritated. The disciple asked this question, what is our siddha rupa, siddha deha, or our perfected form in the spiritual world? In the spiritual world, what am I? Am I a parrot or peacock, or what am I? And Prabhupada said, what siddha rupa? First of all, where is your anartha nivritti? All the dirty things, rascal. Prabhupada scolded. Where is your anartha nivritti first? Anartha nivritti means all the dirty things in the heart must go away first. Then you can talk of all these things. First you chant properly, and then first you do service properly. All these things have to be first. Why you are jumping to the next stage? Do all the things that already are given to you. So in this way, he chastised his disciple. So one time in South Africa, Prabhupada was sitting, and then 2 women, they asked Prabhupada question. Prabhupada, please talk about Ras Leela, the Radha Krishna pastimes. Then Prabhupada avoided. Then Prabhupada actually changed the subject and speaking other things. Then they insisted, no, we want to hear about Ras Leela, we want to hear about Radha Krishna. Srila Prabhupada said, maybe you are qualified to hear, but I am not qualified to speak on them. How, in a humble way, he chastised them. Because they were not disciples actually, they were guests, they were Indians, but they were guests. So he was not too harsh with them. At the same time, he got the point very strongly across. He said, you may be qualified to hear about Radha Krishna Leela, but I am not qualified to speak about them. In other words, he is saying, you are not qualified to hear about them. Follow first, start chanting. Of course, Srila Prabhupada is qualified. But, he is showing us that without qualification, don't enter into the descriptions of Radha Krishna, all these intimate pastimes. We cannot. That's why even for devotees, he prohibited us to read Geet Govinda of Jayadev Goswami. Only one song from Geet Govinda, which is the Dashavatar Stotra, we chant that one. But other songs from Geet Govinda, he forbid the devotees to read that. He forbade them. So why? Because we cannot imitate this platform and we cannot enter into those prematurely. So, footsteps. One should place himself under the direct guidance of a particular associate of Krishna. In our case, it is Prabhupada. Okay? Don't imagine anything else. At the present moment, Prabhupada. And should follow in his footsteps. This method is applicable both in the stage of sadhana and in the stage of sadhya. Sadhya means when the sadhana has become perfect, when one has actually reached God realization, that is called sadhya. Siddha Rupena. Here it's called in the verse, you see, Siddha Rupena. When one has achieved his Siddha Rupa, then he is called a Siddha Purusha or a spiritually perfect soul. So, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has commented as follows upon this verse. One who has not yet developed interest in Krishna consciousness should give up all material motives and train his mind by following the progressive regulative principles, namely chanting and remembering Krishna and his name, form, quality, pastimes and so forth. In this way, after developing a taste for such things, one should try to live in Vrindavan and pass his time constantly remembering Krishna's name, fame, pastimes and qualities under the direction and protection of an expert devotee. This is the sum and substance of all instruction regarding the cultivation of devotional service. So first of all, we have to develop some taste. That taste, ruchi. Before we go to ruchi, there are ado, shraddha. First of all, our faith must be strengthened in the association of tato sadhu sangha. In sadhu sangha, we have to associate with devotees very constantly. And bhajana kriya, engage in devotional service. And our anartha nivritti must happen. All the dirty things in the heart must go. There are so many stages. Actually, Nimanitai Prabhu has been doing a series of videos on our ISKM channel called Krishna Katha. There he is sharing this, how we pass through each stage of this Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, then Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, Prema. So all these stages of development of devotional service. And what are the sub-stages of each of these stages. And so all these things, what needs to be avoided and how to overcome each of these. So he is quoting from the Madhurya Kadambini, which is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's work. So, there are so many things we have to first cross before we can come to the platform of taste. Adav Shraddha, first step. Tato Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishtha, and then only Ruchi. We have maybe Sadhu Sangha, that also not properly, here and there. And then there has to be Bhajana Kriya, okay, engaging in some form of devotional service. Maybe not the whole day properly. So, anartha nivritti, the dirty things in the heart have not gone away. And then once that is gone, then one comes to the platform of nishtha, which is fixed up, bhaktir bhavati naishthiki, fixed up devotional service. And then only ruchi, the real taste. So, first he said, here you see, in this way, after developing a taste for such things, what things? Krishna and his name, form, quality, pastimes and all these things. Develop a taste for all these things first, and then one should try to live in Vrindavan and pass his time constantly remembering Krishna's name. So Vrindavan also means temple and under the protection, guidance and protection of expert devotee. This is the sum and substance of all instruction regarding the cultivation of devotional service. In the neophyte stage, one should always engage in hearing Krishna Katha. Now he is explaining, you see, very nicely. In the beginning stage, one should always engage in hearing Krishna Katha, hearing about Krishna. This is called Shravana Dasha. Dasha means stage or what is that? Phase of life, phase of development. The first phase of development is Shravana Dasha, where the neophyte devotee should always be engaging in Krishna Katha, hearing Krishna Katha, hearing. just like all of you are hearing kindly. So this is Shravana Dasha, the stage of hearing. By constantly hearing the transcendental holy name of Krishna and hearing of his transcendental form, qualities and pastimes, one can attain to the stage of acceptance called Varana Dasha. So then, because in the beginning when we hear, we are not able to assimilate everything. Then when we, by long hearing, then we come to the point of acceptance. We accept. And then Varana also means to describe them. Kirtana, Varana or Varnana. So here Varana Dasha means to accept, the stage of acceptance. When one attains this stage, he becomes attached to the hearing of Krishna Katha. In the beginning, we may not be attached to Krishna Katha. Sometimes when you ask people to read books, no, I am not a reading type of person, Actually, it doesn't matter what kind of person one is. If one starts reading Krishna's book, this maybe the person is not a reading person because all the books were boring. The school books have been absolutely boring. I think, and nothing actually maybe made some real interest, sparked the interest. But if one reads about Krishna with full sincerity of purpose, then automatically, even though he was not a reading person, what to speak of not reading person, even an illiterate person will get, like the example is there in the Chaitanya Leela, where this Brahmana, his guru asked him to read Bhagavad Gita, but he was an illiterate. And every day he would just hold Bhagavad Gita and try to read. And he did not know how to read at all. He was, he was completely illiterate. And, he was crying every day, and then everybody used to make fun of him. You see Pandit reading, just look at this Pandit reading, he can't even know alphabets properly, and he's reading Bhagavad Gita. Everybody was making fun of him, and he was just shedding tears all the time. But he was not crying because they were all bullying him. No, a devotee doesn't do that. He's emotional. He has a very strong emotional, he's emotionally very, very strong, a devotee. He does not cry he's very, very grave, as deep as the ocean. He doesn't flinch when there are circumstantial situations which ordinarily would shake up anybody. What is that? In the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Gurunapi Vichalyate. Gurunapi Vichalyate. When one is Krishna conscious, Gurunapi Vichalyate, even the worst calamity cannot even shake him even in the slightest manner. That is a devotee. Emotionally, he is very, very strong. So why he was crying? He was not crying for this. And he was crying because of devotional ecstasy. The nice example is given about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is described as very, very, very grave. Very grave. He would not easily smile. In fact, that is a sannyasi, a spiritually elevated person. He wouldn't smile easily at ordinary things. He wouldn't smile at ordinary jokes and all this. He's not interested. He's very grave. Small thing, he's not interested. And he's always deeply thoughtful. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was described as like that, as grave as millions of oceans, not just one ocean, millions of oceans. But when the moon of Krishna rises in his mind, whenever this intense thoughts of Krishna and like the full moon, the ocean also gets agitated. The waves become high and everything. The ocean is agitated at the sight of the moon. So similarly, Krishna is like the moon. So ordinary things, if you throw even a boulder, it would not really, it doesn't do anything to the ocean. Although if you throw a boulder in a small tank, the water will splash like anything, and then all the thing is like disturbed. But in an ocean, a boulder is nothing. Nothing can agitate the ocean. And compare millions of oceans, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But when the moon of Krishna rises, he would become agitated, and he would show bodily symptoms which are uncommon, like absolutely madman, somebody who is completely mentally deranged. That kind of symptoms he used to show in his transcendental madness for Krishna. So a sane person would not, dhira statra na muhyati. In the Bhagavad Gita also it is said. Dhira means he's not too afflicted with happiness or suffering. He's just sukha dukha samay kritva, labha labho jaya jayo, everything, in all situations, siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva. So these are all explained. What is a sukha dukkha? Whether in happiness or distress, he is the same. He's same. He's equipoised. And same means what? He's fixed in Krishna consciousness. It is not that he got some promotion or he just struck some lottery. Oh, now let's enjoy. Let's go to this park and let's go here and no, nothing. He's just doing the same thing. Just like Sudama. Sudama Vipra was a perfect example. So he was a poor Brahmana, very skinny, bony, and his children all were wife was asking him, please go to Krishna. Your friend is Krishna. Please go to him. We don't have any means of subsistence. Our children are also very malnutrition. So please go to Krishna and ask him for something. So Sudama went to Krishna and he did not feel like asking anything. He did not ask anything. But Krishna served him, and Rukmini, who is Lakshmi herself, she fanned him. And when he did not ask anything from Krishna. Although his wife asked him to go to see Krishna to ask him something, he just took it as an excuse to see Krishna. Okay, anyway, mother, my wife is asking me to see Krishna. I don't need to ask him anything, but I'll just see Krishna in that way. So in that way he satisfied his wife. Okay, I went and met Krishna. So actually his desire was not to ask what she asked him to ask. He just wanted to see him only. So devotee never disturbs Krishna for anything, even if he is in trouble. He never asks Krishna, please, remove my poverty or nothing. He just, whatever Krishna wants. If Krishna wants me to remain in poverty, so be it. So he went and just saw Krishna and he was very happy. And Krishna actually served him and he was in tears. And when he came back in the same place, he was actually confused. Whether did I take the correct route? Because how did this happen? This whole thing is a palace now. And what is my wife with all those jewelry and all these maid servants and the children and full, what is this gardens and palaces doing here? What is this? What is going on? Then he understood, wow. Krishna is so kind that he has given everything. And in fact, when Sudama went to Krishna, he took some chipped rice. It was actually not even high class offering. It's just a very poor man's offering. Even Krishna ate it with great delight. And when Krishna forcibly took it from him, and then he took one morsel and the second morsel. And when he was going to eat the third morsel, Rukmini stopped him. Please, with 2 morsels you have already given him so much wealth. And if you eat the third morsel also, I myself have to go and leave you and go to his house and serve him as a maid servant. So, please, I don't want to leave you. So, please, I understand, that you have affection for him, but please don't forget me in your ecstasy of remembering your friend. So, in that way, she had to stop him, please. So, with the 2 morsels he ate, Krishna, he gave so much to Sudama. But what did Sudama do after that? Hare, we have a palace, come on, just enjoy, fully enjoy, dance masti, No, he did not do anything like that. He just was always engaged in his own chanting, in his own seva. He was worshipping Krishna, he had a deity. He was just worshipping like that only. Same as he was doing before. Although his wife and children were a little bit excited with all that wealth and everything, they were all like all over the place. But he never flinched. He was just in the same way. He did not reject it also. No, I don't want this. No, whatever Krishna is. But I will not move away from. So, sukha dukkhe samay kritva. So, whether it was, this is in the 2nd chapter, 38th verse. So, sukha dukkha samay kritva. So, in the same disposition in both. And then, labha labhau jaya jayo. In gain or in loss, or in victory or in defeat, or in the 48th verse, it is also siddhi asiddhyo. Whether it is in perfection or imperfection. What is that? Yogastaha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. To be equal in both, that is dhira. To be not, agitated. So that will come if one is focused on Krishna. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasa dehina rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. Sukham atyantikam yattad buddhigrahyam atindriyam. It is beyond the sensory happiness. And having been established in such a high class of happiness of Krishna service, one is unfazed by all these distractions of happiness and distress, victory and defeat, gain and loss, perfection and imperfection. No, just always Krishna conscious. So, when one attains this stage, he becomes attached to the hearing of Krishna Katha. When he accepts Varana Dasha. When he constant hearing will get us to Varana Dasha, to acceptance. And yes, Krishna, he accepts Krishna as summum bonum and goal of his life. When one is able to chant in ecstasy, he attains the stage of Smaranavastha. So first is Shravana Dasha, where he hears about Krishna Katha. And when constant hearing will get him to Varana Dasha, Shravana Dasha, Varana Dasha, now Smaranavastha, the stage of remembering. Shravan, Kirtan, Vishnu, Smaranam. This is. Remembering also has subdivisions. Recollection, absorption, meditation, constant remembrance and trance are the 5 items of progressive Krishna Smarana. So we always say Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Mandaram, Padasevanam, Dasam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam, all these things we say. But actually there are more subdivisions to each of these things. So remembering, Smaranavastha, 5 stages are there. Recollection, absorption, meditation, constant remembrance and trance. So recollection means, like for example me, I always make so many mistakes in, when I narrate some kind of story. You have, in past few days, you must have, realized this by now. So when I describe some, pastime, I don't remember the exact details of the pastime and then I make mistakes here and there. So, you see, my recollection is so bad. That means my absorption, my thinking of Krishna's pastime is so weak. So, in the beginning it's recollection, it's remembering. So, if we don't remember, we forget the kind of. But then, when that recollection becomes more and more, then one does not forget the details and everything, the verses, the pastimes and everything. So there is strong recollection. And then absorption. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he used to hear the pastimes of Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj hundreds of times, repeatedly. And go into every single word, every single verse and describe them in so many different ways and relish those verses and relish those descriptions of, So this is absorption, meditation, constant remembrance. You see? So recollection, then absorption in that remembrance, and then meditation. So actually this is all explained. He actually explains. And then constant remembrance. Although this sounds all same, absorption, meditation, constant remembrance and trance, all same, no? They're more intense. So these are the 5 items of progressive Krishna Smaran. Definitely there must be some Bengali or Sanskrit words for these 5 items, which Prabhupada did not mention. He mentioned in English. So therefore sometimes they sound like same. But if you see the actual words, you can see the nuanced difference in each of these. So here, at first, remembrance of Krishna may be interrupted at intervals. And actually these intervals can be very, very big. Usually when there is movie, there will be an intermission in the especially Indian movies, because Indian movies are very long. So there is intermission. So they break, take a break. So the interval is very small, and after that come back. But in our devotional service, in the beginning especially, the intervals are very long. Dekhenge break ke baad, and the break is so sometimes it can be next life also. So that kind of interruption also can happen. So sometimes devotees they come and then after that you will only see them 10 years later. The interval is very big. In fact, the substance itself is very small. Intervals are very big, and then slowly as one progresses, the intervals become shorter and shorter. And then finally there is uninterrupted remembrance without any interval. So at first remembrance of Krishna may be interrupted at intervals, but later remembrance proceeds uninterrupted. That is called avyabhicharini bhakti. Avyabhicharini bhakti means mam chayo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate. So that is uninterrupted devotional service. Ahaituki apratyahata, uninterrupted. When remembrance, see, that is why it is called recollection. Recollection means remember back again. So that means you have forgotten. You are doing something else. Now again come back. So it is like coming back to. That means you have been somewhere else. So recollecting. But then absorption means uninterrupted. So at first remembrance of Krishna may be interrupted at intervals, but later remembrance is uninterrupted. When remembrance is uninterrupted, it becomes concentrated and is called meditation. You see now the difference of absorption and meditation. It's concentrated remembrance. So although it is now uninterrupted, but then it will become more concentrated, more involved. So that is called meditation. And when meditation expands and becomes constant, you see now. So that concentrated remembrance, that meditation, if that is constant, that means constantly in that deep absorption. Because sometimes it can be deep absorption and then again back to remembrance, which is uninterrupted still, but not that deep. So now if constantly deep, then it is called anusmriti. So this is here, anusmriti. By uninterrupted and unceasing anusmriti, one enters the stage of samadhi, which is trance. These are actually Sanskrit words. So two of them are mentioned here, so anusmriti and samadhi. So when by uninterrupted and unceasing, unstopping anusmriti, one enters the stage of samadhi or spiritual trance. That is called trance. In this, sometimes we see some people trance. So trance means the guy will be ghostly haunted. That is not. I mean, these are cheap things and people sometimes fall for it. So that is not trance. Trance means this, samadhi, always deeply absorbed. That is actually, this is possible only for, extremely fortunate souls and extremely liberated souls. These are completely liberated souls. They can do this in trance. So this is all called smarana dasha. And the smarana dasha means the phase of remembrance. So where the remembrance deepens and dense, it becomes more and more dense, intense. So anusmriti is finally samadhi. So after smarana dasha or samadhi has fully developed, the soul comes to understand his original constitutional position. At that time, he can perfectly and clearly understand his eternal relationship with Krishna. Then we will know who we are, or whether we are a peacock, or whether we are a grain of sand, or whether we are a flower, or whether we are gopi, whether we are cowherd boy, whatever it is, our original position, that time we will understand. That is called sampatti dasha, the perfection of life. So shravana dasha, varana dasha, smaranavastha, then which is also called smarana dasha, and finally there is samadhi, which is the perfection of smarana dasha. Then he comes to sampatti dasha. So in that smarana dasha there are 5, which is recollection, absorption, meditation, constant remembrance, which is anusmriti, and finally samadhi, which is trance. So in this way 5 things. So these are all stages, you see. So Chaitanya Charitamrita advises those who are neophytes. This is all, we are continuing the Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's description, okay. I don't know if you know this, when you are reading, here you see Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and here the quotation mark started. So when it doesn't end at the end of the paragraph, and in the next paragraph it starts again, that means it is continuation. If you did not know this until now, that means the quotation is still continuing. When it is continuing over many paragraphs, then the quotation is not stopped at the end of the paragraph, it is just left blank, and the next paragraph it starts again. Okay, so it is still continuation. And here also this paragraph we have read, in the end there is no end of the quotation marks, that means it is still continuing. So this is here, you see, still. So in this way we know. So then we know that this is all actually Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's explanation that Prabhupada is repeating here. Some small tip. So Chaitanya Charitamrita advises those who are neophytes to give up all kinds of motivated desires and simply engage in the regulative devotional service of the Lord according to the directions of Scripture. To give up all kinds of motivated desires and simply engage in the regulative devotional service of the Lord according to the directions of scripture. Which verse is this? I do not know, honestly. So anyway, in this way, a neophyte can gradually develop attachment for Krishna's name, fame, form, qualities, and so forth. When one has developed such attachment, he can spontaneously serve the lotus feet of Krishna even without following the regulative principles. See this? So first, we have to follow the directions of scriptures. Of course, we know some verses which are related to this, but exactly that verse, I do not know. So, direction, what is that? Shruti smriti puranadi pancharatriki vidhim vina aikantiki harer bhaktir utpataya eva kalpate. So, we should not follow devotional service that is not authorized by scriptures in our own way, in our own imaginations. That is prohibited. So, that is also mentioned in the Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, verse 12. Tachraddhadhana munayo jnana vairagya yuktaya. What is it? Bhaktya shrutagrihitaya. So bhaktya shrutagrihitaya. We have to engage in devotional service according to shruta, the directions of scriptures. So when one advances like that, then he will have, in this way, a neophyte can gradually develop attachment for Krishna's name, fame, form, qualities, and so forth. When one has developed such attachment, he can spontaneously serve the lotus feet of Krishna even without following the regulative principles. This stage is called Raga Bhakti. Raga Bhakti. Raga means what? Attachment. Now our Raga is for material body, material family, material attachment. Raga Dvesha. So, Raga Dvesha Vimukta istu Vishayan Indriya ischaran Atmavashyar Vidheyatma Prasadam Adhigachati. So here in this material world we have to give up the raga and dvesha. Ichha dvesha samuthena dvandva mohena bharata. This is illusory, raga and dvesha. Our attachment and aversion for illusory things, both are bad. But we have to have raga or attachment for Krishna. And when one actually has raga bhakti, it is no more vaidhi bhakti, it is raga bhakti. Vaidhi bhakti means now we are doing according to rules, but raga means automatically we will do, without even rules. Or spontaneous love. At that stage, the devotee can follow in the footsteps of one of the eternal associates of Krishna in Vrindavan. This is called Raga Anuga Bhakti. Anuga means, Anu means in the way of. Ga means going in the way of. Ga means Gamayam, to go. To follow in the footsteps of Tad Anuragi Jananugami. Tad Anuraga, those who are attached to Krishna, Jana, Anugami, to follow in their footsteps. The third line of today's verse. So, Raganuga Bhakti or spontaneous devotional service can be executed in the Shantaras when one aspires to be like Krishna's cows or the stick or flute in the hand of Krishna. So, we can desire to become any of these things. We can want to become a flute of Krishna if that is our constitutional position, which is not to be imitated at this stage, which will reveal itself as we progress and perfect our devotional service. When our Smarana Dasha, when our Samadhi, intense absorption in Krishna Leela is manifested, then yes, all these things will be manifested in the Sampatti Dasha. So, Shantaras, when one aspires like Krishna's cows or the stick or flute in the hand of Krishna or the flowers around Krishna's neck. In the Dasyaras, one follows the footsteps of servants like Chitraka, Patraka or Raktaka. So these are different servants of Krishna in Vrindavan. In the friendly Sakhya Rasa, one can become a friend like Baladev, Sridama or Sudama. So these are different relationships. Rasa means relationship or mellow. Actually there is no, Prabhupada said in one place, there is no proper English translation for the word rasa. Rasa means taste, rasa means mellow, rasa means relationship, rasa means all these things, Sakhya rasa. So in the relationship of friendship, one can become a friend like Baladev, Sridama or Sudama. In the Vatsalya rasa, characterized by parental affection, one can become like Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda. And in the Madhurya rasa, characterized by conjugal love, one can become like Srimati Radharani or her lady friends such as Lalita and her serving maids Manjaris like Rupa and Rati. This is the essence of all instruction in the matter of devotional service. Now the quotation marks have closed. So these are all the instructions of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So there we have come to the end of this verse, and now we will take up any questions and see if any related verses have been shared by devotees. So this is the essence of all instruction basically. So this is the song. Ki Rupe Paibo Seva, yes. So especially the fourth stanza of that song is that Chārya Vaishnav Seva Nistar Paichakeba. There is no way to defeat her or give her up unless I attain the mercy of the saints. See, that is the translation of that fourth verse. The fourth stanza of that song is the one which is actually explaining that. Then next, so we have the link of that song in the comments. You can see it. Then question. So Jessica, Bhaktin Jessica is asking, but a child, Prabhuji, will be influenced and will conduct learnings from family or elders associated with, right, Prabhuji? So, yes, so the child will learn from the parents. So, why he is put in a certain family? Sometimes they are born in Shuchinam Shrimatam Gehe, in the family of devotees, or in the family of Brahmins, or something like that. Sometimes in the family of uncultured Brahmins, means not the birth-wise Brahmins, but actual Brahmins by quality. Or sometimes is born in sinful families or broken families, and all this kind of so many disadvantages. So these are all. So accordingly, he will be trained according to the mentality of the father and mother. So therefore, it is said, don't become a father and mother, and don't become any kind of leader in any way, or husband or like that. If one is not a devotee. Only when we are devotee, then we are qualified to actually accept any leadership position. Yes, so this verse from Vishnu Puran is quoted in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, Text 36, quoted by Vishwambar Prabhu here in the comments. Sahanistan mahachidram samoha sacha vibhramaha yan muhurtam kshanam vapi vasudevam nachintayet. This is never forget Krishna, right? That is here. If even for a moment remembrance of Vasudev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is missed, that is the greatest loss, that is the greatest illusion, and that is the greatest anomaly. Mahachidram samoha sacha vibhramaha yan muhurtam kshanam vapi vasudevam nachintayet. Very nice verse. Actually, we must remember. I should remember this. I remembered, I forgot again. So there's a long question by Bhaktin Ajanya. So before we go there, this verse from the, yes, this is the specific verse, correct. Adosha darashi Prabhu patita uddhar eibar narottame koroha nistar. No, not this. This is the fifth verse. Now the fourth verse is where it is said that without Vaishnavas, what is that? That is the actual one. Of course, the Nistar, Payachekeba, Nistar is there here, but the Maya cannot be given up unless by the mercy of the saints. That is the fourth verse especially. So the question by Ajanya. My parents are non-vegetarian. I don't have any good association in the form of teachers or friends. I didn't like Krishna actually in my childhood or in my teenage. I thought he is seen as a lover of so many girls. How can I consider him as a god? I was thinking about Krishna in my childhood, so I did not have any attraction. I was very much interested in Shiva. From my 15th year only, I was thinking that I am not in the right way. I need to acquire something good. But I couldn't find any persons. Books were my way to know about Krishna. I am not a devotee actually, chanting, trying to follow regulative principles, that's all. But I think I could find something different and valuable information. I got the very little attraction to Krishna consciousness even though my friends, parents, society are not supporting. Is it due to my bhakti in previous birth? Well, whether it was as a result of bhakti from previous birth or because of association of Prabhupada's books, whichever way it has happened, and that is a greatly fortunate position. So now we have to nurture that. So how it exactly happened, Krishna knows. What we did in our previous birth. So probably or probably not, we don't know. Like for example, once they were in the American disciples, they were sitting with Prabhupada on one evening and then they asked him, Prabhupada, in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita it is said that Shuchinam Srimatam Gehe, of those who are very advanced yogis in the past life, those who haven't finished their path, they take birth in good families and then they continue from their devotional service. But in our lives, there is no tinge of piety. We have been, from the very beginning of our lives, been introduced to meat eating, illicit sex, gambling, intoxication. These are the 4 pillars of sin as we know now, but these were the 4 pillars of our life previously. How is it that we have gotten your mercy? How are we pious that we have received this thing? So Prabhupada said, I created the piety in you. Jai Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada, the pure devotee, is so powerful that he can turn anyone, like Narad Muni. He turned a hunter into a devotee. And when his friend Parvat Muni saw this, that horrible hunter who would love to kill animals half dead and make them suffer so much by his arrows, that kind of a cruel-hearted hunter had become a great devotee. Then Parvat Muni said to Narad Muni, Aha, you are a touchstone, you are a Chintamani. Chintamani means touchstone. Touchstone means with that stone, if you touch anything, that will become gold. So even a ordinary person or even a very sinful person can be. Narad Muni also liberated Valmiki. He was a highway robber and engaged in all kinds of sinful activities. That was Valmiki, and he became Valmiki Rishi, and he wrote the Ramayana. Such a great Rishi he became. He could not even chant Rama. He was so sinful that he cannot even say Rama. Then this Narad Muni said, all right, you chant Mara. Mara means dead. So Mara. You chant Mara. That is all you know. So he said, okay, this I can chant. Mara, 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 Rama, 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 Rama. And in this way he was chanting Rama, Rama, Rama. And in this way he became liberated. So Narad Muni has, and Dhruva Maharaj, he came with a totally materialistic desire. Completely. That's why there is that nice verse Vishwambhar Prabhu shared the other day. Where was, and I because it was so late that day, I did not share those verses from the comments on the screen. Beautiful verse. After the class was finished, I was regretting that I did not show. A nice verse where it is said that, where was Dhruva's maturity, where was Kubja's beauty, where was, Vidura's opulence. But Krishna accepted all of them because Krishna does not see anything, all these material qualifications. He sees the devotion in all these people. So, even similarly for the monkeys in Ramayana, so he saw that they had devotion. So, that is the real thing. So, we have to understand that, Prabhupada, we do not know sometimes how great he is. He has created the piety in us. So, whether we started with a previous good fortune from previous life or Prabhupada has actually made this happen here, we never know. But the thing is, we know it definitely happened. Now we are fortunate enough to have received the Bhakti Lata Bij. E Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jeev. That is Bhagyavan. Very fortunate position. So we have to now water the seed and make it nicely grow the creeper and then make it reach the lotus shelter at Krishna's lotus feet. Vanaja Mataji. Will soul carry janma after janma, both spiritual and material advancements, or only spiritual advancements? Good. I know why you asked this question, because a child prodigy has musical ability from his previous life, so it looks like we do carry something of our material from our previous lives. So, I actually wanted to expand this, but it was not exactly a topic. So now that you asked the question, so what happens is, you see, in our last life, we have read, we know, we have spoken, we could do so many things, but now we have to learn alphabets all over again. But what stays with us is the tendency. So the tendencies of us, so that vasana, the tendency. So there we will pick up from there. So those tendencies carry forward according to also our what is that? Karanam gunasangosya sadasad yoni janmasu. According to our association. So many factors play a part in making us what we think at the last point of our life, and therefore there are different mentalities of different people. They are attached to different things. They have aversion for different things because of our previous. So the flavors of past consciousness definitely carry forward, but the achievements, like the achievements are lost. Like, he may be a child prodigy now, or maybe he was a Zakir Hussain in his previous life, or I'm just making it up, some accomplished, but that name and fame and all those accomplishments of that person do not carry forward. When this boy is born, he will not be mapped, oh, this is so and so. That fame is just gone with that body of that person. Albert Einstein, what is he now? Maybe he is a very intellectual person somewhere else, but maybe he is in this world, we don't even know. But we don't map him to that fame and that intelligence, all those things that are known as hallmarks of Albert Einstein. So those things remain with the body, whereas the flavor of it carries forward. Whereas in our devotional service, it is not like that. Whatever we did in our previous life, we start off from there. So that's why people have a little more advantage in devotional service sometimes, and sometimes not so much advantage, all these things. But either way, if we take it up seriously, even now, regardless of whether we have advantages or not, if we take it up seriously here now in this life, then we will achieve complete perfection no matter what. So in devotional service, the actual fruits of, because it belongs to the soul, the devotional service is an activity of the soul, whereas the rest of it is the activity of the body. So that is no more. But the soul, the identity of the soul is the same. It's a servant of Krishna. And because it is Sanatana, therefore the Sanatan Dharma, why our religion is called Sanatan Dharma? Because it is the dharma, it is the occupation of the Sanatan soul. The soul is Sanatan, the Lord is Sanatan, the abode of the Lord is Sanatan. The reciprocation between the Lord and the devotee is also Sanatan. This is called Sanatan Dharma. And that Sanatan Dharma does not finish with the body, because it has nothing to do with the body in the first place. So it has to do with the soul. So he starts off from where he left off. So then he starts again. Or whatever it remembers only at the time of death. So that remembrance at the time of death depends, sada tadbhava bhavita. It is a culmination of all that we have been thinking during life. So, and there is a nice verse, Varaha Puran. I memorized it, but I forgot again. It's a simple verse that if we have been a devotee all our lives and we somehow forgot Krishna at the last point of our life, what will happen to such a person? So it is said that the Lord will actually, the Lord will remember him and take him back. In fact, in the pastime of Ramanujacharya, he asked this question to Varadaraj Perumal temple. In the Varadaraj Perumal temple, he asked the Lord, Varadaraj Perumal in the Tamil Nadu. This temple is there. So he asked Varadaraj Perumal 3 questions. One of the questions was, what will happen to a devotee when he has been devotee all his life, but at the last point of death, due to some reason, he is distracted and he could not remember. So what will happen to him? Then the Lord said, I will incarnate in his mind and I will take him back home, back to Godhead. Yes. So Maheshwar Prabhu has reminded me. Yadi vatadi doshena. That is the first line actually. Yadi vatadi doshena. Nacha mam smaret. Madbhakto nacha mam smaret. Aham smarami madbhakto. What is that? Nayami. I forgot the last word. So I will take him across this ocean of material existence. Even though if he doesn't remember me, I will remember him. So in this way, the Lord back. So Ajanya is asking question, if I die soon, will I develop the same interest in my next birth? So I want to ask this question, are you planning on a suicide or something? Because don't plan anything like that. It all depends on Krishna. We just have to execute our devotional service. Whether we die next moment or whether we're going to die after 100 years, we just have to be focused. Not in the past, not in the future, just our present. Now we have to focus on devotional service, be engaged in devotional service in as much as possible now. So let's be focused on that. Not that, if I die soon, maybe I'll take a good birth in a good family. Okay, I'll commit suicide. And then we'll become ghost. One who commits suicide will become ghost. Then he'll remain as a ghost for many hundreds of years and haunting all devotees and disturbing them. And in that way commit more Vaishnava aparadh and go somewhere else. So don't try anything like that. I'm sure you're not trying. I'm just joking. So doesn't matter, we will just carry on. Now the interest is there, just carry on. So again Ajanya, even though I ate so many fish and meat for the first 18 years of life, how could I develop the little interest in Krishna? Why this 18 years since through meat eating didn't block the attraction to Krishna? If I think about my family or association, there is no way to develop attraction to Krishna, so I asked this question. Good question. So that's what I just said. I shared that incident of Prabhupada. They asked the same question, how did we become fortunate to receive this Krishna consciousness when so many born Brahmins and so many practicing Brahmins are there in India and they were not so interested, but we of all people, all the sinful people, we are, how did we get? So actually there is a nice verse in Bhagavatam. Kirata hunandra pulinda pulkasha abhira shumbha yavana khasadayah Yenye cha papa yadapashraya shuddhyanti tasmai prabhavishnave namaha. So the second canto, 4th chapter, 18th verse, it is said that even the people who are lower than Shudras, Chandalas, all kinds of Kirata, Huna, Andhra, Pulinda, Pulkasha, Abhira, Shumbha, Yavana, Khasa, Adaya, all kinds of, sub-civilized people, human beings but not civilized at all, no Vedic culture, nothing, fully sinful. If even these kind of people, Yenyecha papa yadapashraya, if they take shelter of the person who has taken shelter of Krishna, shuddhyanti tasmai prabhavishnave namaha, they will get purified. That's why when one receives what is that song? Papi tapi jata chilo hariname uddharilo. Even the worst sinners can, be delivered by the Harinam if they just take it with sincerity. Then whatever he may be, he will be, if he is favored by the association of a pure devotee, and if he is also favorable to that association, that's it. Immediately he will be converted into gold. Actually, that's why ours is a mercy movement. We are actually surviving in this movement because of mercy only. We are not, like big sadhakas, who are big Himalayan tapasya, we did nothing, zero. Every day failing like anything. But only thing is that we have the hope of mercy. That's why there is. Let's try to take that verse out. Let's hope this software will work. Okay. What is that verse? 23:39 is it? 23:29. Madhyalila. Yes. Madhyalila, chapter 23, text 29. न प्रेमाश्रवणादिभक्तिरपि वा योगोऽथवा वैष्णवो ज्ञानं वा शुभकर्म वा कियदहो सज्जातिरप्यस्ति वा हीनार्थाधिकसाधके त्वयि तथा प्यच्छेद्यमूला सती हे गोपी जनवल्लभव्यथयते हा हा मदाशैव माम्. Need to really remember this verse. That's a beautiful verse. Translation: O my Lord, I do not have any love for you, nor am I qualified for discharging devotional service by chanting and hearing, nor do I possess the mystic power of a Vaishnava, knowledge or pious activities, nor do I belong to a very high caste family. On the whole, I do not possess anything. Still, O beloved of the gopis, because you bestow your mercy on the most fallen, I have an unbreakable hope that is constantly in my heart. That hope is always giving me pain. So, this is our position now. This verse should be in the memory actually. Until now I did not remember. So, anyway, this is our position right now. So, we just have to hope, the mercy only. The Prabhupada's mercy, we are floating in the water. Otherwise, we will be deeply sunk and completely at the seabed only. The fourth verse is this. Ihar Korea joy chhadano na jay. इहारा कोरिया जाए छाड़ानो ना जाए साधु कृपा विना आर नाहि को उपाय. This is the actual verse of the Narottam Das Thakur song. इहारे कोरिया जाए छाड़ानो ना जाए साधु कृपा विना आर नाहि को उपाय. So we cannot. This is the verse which Prabhupada said. Chhadiya Vaishnav Seva Nistar Paye Chekeba. So we cannot win over the material world without sadhu kripa vina ar nahi ko upaya, without the mercy of the sadhus, the Vaishnavas. So by serving them we get their mercy. So chhadiya Vaishnav seva nistar paye keba. And Sunita Mataji is asking, Hare Krishna, how can you remember so much about Krishna when you have poor memory? No, I do not remember. You see how many mistakes I made. So, there's so much more to remember. So, we need to absorb ourselves. We have to read them again and again, and in that way we can remember properly. My recollection is not proper, you see. So, I'm also learning. That's why I'm talking here. Like I'm not a big teacher at all. Please don't take me as a big teacher. I am just purifying myself by speaking about Krishna, and you are purifying yourself by hearing about Krishna. That is our relationship. Otherwise, both are getting purified only. I am not a big, self-realized soul to speak on all these subjects. I am completely unqualified to speak on these subjects. But we are just sharing because that is the only way we can get purified. We are not qualified to chant. We are not qualified to speak about Krishna. We are not qualified to do anything. But by doing them, we will become qualified. So, we just have to engage ourselves in all these activities of devotional service so that we can purify ourselves and, become better devotees of Krishna. Oni from Bangladesh, this is, I think, cousin, nephew of Prem Bikash Prabhu. He has been kindly joining our classes. Thank you very much, Oni Prabhu. And his question, that means the more I connect with the Krishna consciousness, the more chance to go to Krishna Dham. But the question is, a cricketer or footballer spend most of the time how to prepare himself more undefeated, and that's why he always think about his profession. So is he wasting his time just thinking about his profession? Actually, yes. That's why all these things are unnecessary things. These are all anarthas. Cricket, football, these have become such huge establishments, such huge things in today's world. And of course, thanks to this virus, The Olympics has been cancelled. The football has been cancelled. European League or something, all this have been cancelled. Spanish League has been cancelled. Some boxing matches have been cancelled. Cricket matches have been cancelled. So actually these are not necessary. You can live without them. Nobody died, right? They died of the virus, but did not die because there was no football match or died. They could not breathe, choked up and died. No, nobody. So these are all anartha things. But now these are glorified so much. Artificially they have been given so much hype. Oh, cricketer, oh, greatest batsman in the world, Sachin Tendulkar. Okay, he is the greatest cricketer, batsman. But how great is cricket? Just like an ant, among the ants, there may be a very great ant. Every other ant may be very much scared of this ant, or in ant fight maybe the ant will be the biggest ant. But I mean, does it even matter to us? In the grand scheme of the cosmic things and everything, does the ant matter any much at all? No, it's useless. I mean, nobody cares. It's in the grand scheme of the whole grand scheme of creation is that we purify our life and go back to Krishna. Anything else, however grand it may seem, is just an illusion. It's an illusion of fame, it's an illusion of greatness, it's an illusion of greatness. Because we have to first of all see what is the aim in all those actions. One may be great in something, but is that something great or not? If he is great at cricket, is cricket great enough? Or if he is great at football, is football great enough to in achieving the aim of life? No. So all the greats are not same. That's why what is the greatest fame? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Ramananda Rai. Ramananda Rai said greatest fame is to be known as a devotee. He did not say greatest fame is to be known as a Bollywood actor, or you may say that time Bollywood was not there. Okay, say a dancer or a musician or whatever it is. He did not say anything. He said greatest fame is being a devotee, because that fame is eternal fame. Because whatever he has done as a devotee, that is for the eternal purpose of everybody. Whereas all this, simply some stupid entertainment, just like it doesn't have much meaning. So if he is focusing on all this profession, suppose he is a cricketer and is always focusing on cricket, then next life will become a cricket. That insect cricket, crick. He will do that. Next life will become like that. That will be his future. So why we should waste time? Although the millions of fans he may have, but will those fans help him when Yamaraj is going to punish him? Oh, you have not chanted Krishna's name. Oh, nonsense. What you have done. No. I am a greatest cricketer. I have many fans. I have how many millions of fans. I am greatest batsman. Or you see my social media account. Nothing. Yamaraj is not interested. Yamaraj is interested how much you have chanted. Let's see. Yamaraj's own statement. Very nice verse. Canto 6, chapter 3, verse 29 of Srimad Bhagavatam. No, not this one. Jihvanavakti bhagavad gunanamadheyam chetaschana smrati taccharanāravindam Krishnāya no namati yadchira ekadapi Tananayadvamasato krita Vishnu krityan. He is saying to his servants, Yamadutas, what is he saying? My dear servants, please bring to me only those sinful persons who do not use their tongues to chant the holy name and qualities of Krishna, whose hearts do not remember the lotus feet of Krishna even once, and whose heads do not bow down even once before Lord Krishna. Send me those who do not perform their duties toward Vishnu, which are the only duties in human life. Please send me all such fools and rascals. So he may be greatest cricketer, but according to Yamaraj, he is the greatest rascal. So our thing is, in Krishna's eyes, what are we? The whole world may glorify us, because they will glorify those who will never worship Krishna. Jatunama Gadagraja. What is that? Shvavid Varahoshta Kharaye Samsuta Purusha Pashu. Nayat Karna Pathopeto Jatunama Gadagraja. Canto 2, chapter 3, text 19 of Srimad Bhagavatam. So the men who are like animals, they will glorify other men who are bigger animals. So in this way, there is a big animal society going on here, and fan clubs and all clubs. But what is going on? Unnecessary things are glorified. And devotees who are actually working for the welfare of the whole world, don't bother about them. No, what they are, nonsense. These people, nobody cares. Now we are having live stream, for example. Now live stream. How many people are there? Let's see. 39 people are there here on live stream. Sachin Tendulkar or Shah Rukh Khan goes live stream. How many people will come? Oh, millions, thousands at the live watching. Big comments. Every second comments are coming. Thousands of comments. Interest. In people's interest is there. If Krishna talking in some Krishna speech, that is the 39 people only. And then Shah Rukh Khan, some views are there in social media. So if you want to know that fame does not equal greatness, if you want to know, fame is not equal to greatness, especially in Kali Yuga, because you will become famous if you do all kind of stupid things. You just see one video or some stupid photos in social media, they will have likes, million likes like this. You see the substance. It doesn't even equal 1 second of this talk that we are having now. It doesn't even equal 1 second of it. But millions of views, millions of likes. But this one, 39, now increased to 42. Some 3 people joined. So that's it. That is the level here. So we just need to go on with we have to be convinced. We are now convinced that they say, how can millions of people be wrong? We say, yes, all millions are wrong. Confidently we can say all millions of them are wrong. Majority is never correct. Especially Kali Yuga, majority usually will be wrong. In Satya Yuga, yes, maybe you can say majority will be correct because all of them are Paramahamsas. All of them know the aim of life, But here, Nate Vidu Swarthagatam Vishnu, nobody knows the aim of life of Vishnu. So whatever their opinions are all useless. Nobody cares. We should not care for their opinions. As devotees, we should never care for their opinions. They may make something as very great in their own estimation. But in our estimation, it has no value. For them, it is priceless. But for us, it is worthless. That's why it is said in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, what is priceless for us, it seems worthless for them. You see? 269 Bhagavad Gita. Ya nisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagrati samyame yasyam jagrati bhutani sa nisha pashyato muneh. You see? What is night for all beings is the time of awakening for the self-controlled, and the time of awakening for all beings is night for the introspective sage. So they are both awake in different realms. They are both active on different realms. For the sage, for the devotee, a materialist, he is very active in this material, but he is seeing that spiritually he is sleeping, completely in deep slumber. He is not at all active. Whereas the materialist is thinking, this Muni, this devotee, what they are doing, nothing productive they are doing. They think like this. They simply chant, then they worship deities and talk about Bhagavad Gita and a whole day and night. What they are doing, do something productive. They think like this. Now we are thinking, they are not thinking of Krishna, therefore they are absent. So who is crazy? Who is crazy? That's why Prabhupada wrote an article, who is crazy? So they think we are crazy, we think they are crazy. But we are right. Because Krishna thinks they are crazy. So our opinion is in accordance with Krishna's opinion. So therefore we are right. So ultimately there has to be a judge, no? Because two opinions are there. Somebody has to be a judge to, judge. So we have to see what. Just like a thief. He thinks stealing is good because for him that is his mode of survival. Stealing is good because I am providing for my family. For a normal citizen, that is bad. So now it has to be established who is correct. So they go to the judge. The government agrees that the thief is wrong. So everybody has to abide by the government's decision now. He may think whatever he wants, he will be in jail only. And in the jail he can think that I am right, he will be in jail only. So similarly, Devotees also think they are right, non-devotees think they are right. But devotees are always right because Krishna, they follow Krishna's. Krishna says this is right, and he says that is wrong. So they can say they are right, and they let them suffer in this world, and still they say they are right and never mind. So in this way, life goes on. Then Swati Mataji. Please take a class on Narsimha Leela, pastimes of Narsimhadev. Well, yeah, maybe sometime, because Narsimha Chaturdasi is coming actually. There is 6th, on the 6th is Narsimha Chaturdasi, 3 days away. 6th, right? Yeah, I think 6th. So, Narsimha Leela. But we are in a, we will take some time, we will see. We will see if time permits before 6th, otherwise it can be maybe after 6th, let's see. But most of you already know, and we kind of covered it in our Namaste Narsimhaya prayers, the greatness of Lord Narsimhadev. We kind of covered it, so in that way, of course we did not go through the entire pastime. We can go through it, I think we can go through that also. Maybe the next 3 verses can be done in maybe the next 2 days, something like that. And then after that we can do Narsimha Leela probably. Alright, if there are no questions anymore, we will stop it here. Vishwambara says, majority sometimes means that all the fools are on the same side. Especially true in Kali Yuga. Majority of them, Krishna already said, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye yatatam abhi siddhanam kaschin vetimam tattvataha. Among thousands among men, one will be interested in endeavor for perfection, and out of the thousands of who are endeavoring for perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. One in millions will be my actual devotee. He never said that majority will be my devotees. That is in the spiritual world, yes. In the material world, no. Material world, majority are fools. So if the majority are voting for somebody, that means you have to be careful of that person. There's something wrong with that person. So first, that's why we should never judge a person according to the following, according to all these external things. How he is speaking, that is what matters. How is he speaking? What is he doing? That's why Arjuna asked in the 2nd chapter 54th verse and 14th chapter 21st verse, what are the symptoms of a self-realized soul? What he does, what he speaks, how he sits, how he walks, everything he wanted to know. So that we can identify. So what is his character? What is he speaking? What is he doing? That is what matters. That is what matters. So, not how many followers he has. We should never judge people according to that. See, nice conversation of Vishwambara Prabhu. Conversation of Prabhupada shared by Vishwambara Prabhu. Hamsuta saying, this week is the big world football soccer matches. So everyone goes to see that. They either stay at home or watch television or they go to the fields. Prabhupada says, because they have been taught like that, what is their fault? They do not know the importance of human life. Eat, drink, be merry and enjoy. That's all. And then become a dog. That's all. They do not know. And they say, never mind, I shall become a dog. After all, I will forget everything. This is in Germany. June 22nd, 1972. So these are nowadays. Oni Datta Prabhu is saying, fantastic answer. Thank you very much. Thank you for asking the question so that others can also understand. So Vishwambara Prabhu has quoted one letter of Prabhupada's letter to Sachisuta. Standard practice for initiated devotees. Must attend evening and morning classes, should not extensively mix with non-devotees, should not eat cooked by non-devotees, should not waste time in idle talks, should not become agitated in frivolous sports, should always chant and sing the Lord's holy names. So these things. So like this there are many nice things. So we can go through the comments. Somebody can. So Prem Vikas Prabhu is saying, just by Aham Smarami Madbhakta Nayami Paramagatim. Yes, Paramagatim. That is the word. So Vikas Prabhu is saying, Darshantra Koro Ei Tumar Gun. So in the song of Narottam Das Thakur, they said, Ei Bar Koruna Koro. So yeah, so there it is said, Darshane Pavitra Koro Ei Tumar Gun. A devotee, even if you see him, we become perfect. So Prabhupada also, many people sometimes they saw Prabhupada and saw his smile, and then because of that they surrendered their life and became devotees, initiated everything. You see? Oh yeah, this is the beautiful, we should read this verse. This was the verse that I did not read the other day by Rupa Gosvami in Tattvavit. But the diacritic marks are not there, so the pronunciation can be a little difficult. If the diacritics are put, then it is easier to pronounce. So it is a Vyadhasya charanam dhruvasya cha vayo vidyajas kubjya kimu nama rupam adhikam kim tat sudamno dhanam vamsha ko vidurasya de yadava pater ugrasya kim paurusham bhaktaya tushyati kevalam nacha gunair bhakti priyo madhava. Where were the hunter dharma's piety? First of all, I don't know who is this hunter dharma. Is he the one who shot Krishna, arrow at Krishna's leg? I don't know. I actually don't know who is this dharma hunter. We should find out. Where were the hunter dharma's piety? Dhruva's maturity, Gajendra's knowledge? Where was Subja's beauty? Sudama's wealth? Where was Vidura's noble birth? Where was Uggana's strength? Lord Madhava is pleased only by devotional service and not by material qualifications. Midas touch, yeah. The man with the Midas touch. Which means, I don't know if you know that Greek story, Midas. He touched anything, he'll become gold. Of course, that Midas was actually an idiot because he became morose after that. Because ordinary gold would, he became morose because he touched his wife to enjoy her and she became also gold. And how to enjoy her now? So in that way he understood them. In material gold is that. Spiritually gold means to turn the heart of that person into gold. That is a different level. To change the person. Iha koriya jan chhadano na jaye. Yeah, ihare koriya jan chhadano na jaye. Sadhu kripa vina ar nahi ko upaya. Well, thank you very much. I think that's pretty much. What is the meaning of detachment? Okay, we have a few more questions, not finished. Not at all finished. Alright, we'll go through some of the questions now. Somewhere I saw Jombor Prabhu. Now it's Somagiri Prabhu. Where is he? Some comment is there. So anyway, now the question is, here, very valuable lecture. Oh, that's what he's saying. Okay, Ravi Ranjan Prabhu. What is the meaning of detachment? Detachment means to be detached from sense gratification. That's all. And that is only possible if we have attachment for Krishna. Therefore, Krishna is saying, Maya sakta manah partha, become attached to me, automatically you will be detached to material life. So that is automatic. So as we get attached to Krishna, we will get detached to material life. So in the beginning, the whole focus should be, that's why Krishna says, achieve attraction for me by hearing about me, chanting my name, everything. So in that way, when we get attached to Krishna, automatically we will be detached to Maya. Detachment doesn't mean, oh, I should not use any more aeroplane, I should not use any more Facebook Live, I should not use any more handphone, smartphone, or anything, laptop I should not use. That is not detachment, that is stupidity. Detachment means to use all those things in sense gratification, that is bad. So using it in sense gratification, that misuse, giving up that misuse is actual detachment. So therefore Rupa Goswami says, अनासक्तस्य विषयान् यथार्हम् उपयुञ्जतः निर्बन्धे कृष्ण संबंधे युक्तं वैराग्यमुच्यते प्रापंचिकतया बुद्ध्या हरिसंबंधि वस्तुनः मुमुक्षुभिः परित्यागो वैराग्यं फल्गु कथ्यते. He said, by not being attached to anything but using everything in Krishna's service, and so that is actual renunciation, yuktam vairagyam, yukta vairagya. Whereas just giving up everything, not knowing their relationship with Krishna, oh, Facebook live is Maya, Prabhu, Facebook all Maya, but then in that way nobody speaks about Krishna, nobody hears about Krishna, everybody just stay in Maya and fully in Maya. So if we can use it in Krishna's service, that is perfect. So that is proper use. So instead of saying, this is all Maya, Prabhu, I don't want to go on Facebook live, it's all Maya, that is stupidity, that's not renunciation. Oh, I'm a sannyasi, I'm a brahmachari, I'm a saffron colored, I cannot be on Facebook live. What is that? Stupidity. So we should not be stupid. We should be. So that is, Rupa Goswami says, phalgu kathyate, vairagyam phalgu kathyate. It is an incomplete renunciation. That is actually not proper renunciation. Real renunciation means to not use anything for ourselves, for everything for Krishna, but use everything for Krishna. So that is real detachment. Vairagya vidya nija bhakti yoga. Then Sonali Mataji is asking, but job people can't avoid non-devotees. So she is meaning that people who go to work outside, they can't avoid non-devotees. We have already read this, studied this the other day. So basically if one has to go out and work a job, then one has to just have very minimal contact with people, as much as is necessary to work there. If at all we want to show extra friendship, we can give them prasadam, give them a book, let them study, and time to time give them some instructions about Krishna. If they are not interested, let them go on their own path. Don't even make friendship with this person. No use, because he will drag you only. He will drag you to the ditch. So better you save yourself from that. When somebody is drowning in water, when you go to help him, the drowning person, he wants to hold on to something. He is already in panic, complete panic. And when he holds, you also will drown with him. So no need to try to save a person when we ourselves cannot save ourselves in that association. So if he want to drag us, then let him drown on his own. We at least stay far away from that. But if we still have to deal with him, then just official dealings, that's it. Very official dealings, and that's it. One's main relationship, close relationship should be cultivated with devotees. Sometimes relatives also become a pain in the neck. So they are not supportive and they are against, and then they pass so many comments. That's why there is a nice verse in Mukundamala Stotra. 2 verses are there. Oh, see, completely. Okay, this is the 39th verse of Mukundamala Stotra. Tyajantu bandhavaah sarve nindantu guravo jana tathapi paramanando Govindo mama jivanam. This is, let my relatives all abandon me and my superiors condemn me. Still the supremely blissful Govinda remains my life and soul. This is attitude of devotee. He doesn't care. And another verse also. This is the 42nd verse of Mukundamala Stotra. Chittam naiva nivartate kshanamapi Shri Krishna padambujan Nindantu priyabandhava gurujana Ghrinantu munchantu va Durvadam parighoshayantu manuja Sarve vamshe khalankostu va Tadrik prema dharanuraga madhuna Mattayamanam tume. He is praying, my mind cannot turn from Sri Krishna's lotus feet even for a moment. So let my dear ones and other relatives criticize me, My superiors accept me or reject me as they like. The common people spread evil gossip about me, and my family's reputation be sullied. For a madman like me, it is honor enough to feel this flood of love of Godhead, which brings such sweet emotions of attraction for my Lord. That is enough for me. Let all of them talk whatever they want. I will just be interested in Krishna consciousness. So we just have to, be there but not be there. We just have to deal with them externally. If you can help them by prasadam, by books, well and good. If he becomes devotee, then you can cultivate more friendship with him and teach him more things. Can't, then just deal with them officially, and then your real dealings are with the devotees. Can those type of people affect our chanting? Non-devotees, yes, they will definitely affect our chanting. If we listen to them, if we closely associate with them, if we sit with them and eat, and they're eating some rubbish. So all these things will affect our chanting, definitely it will affect. So therefore, just associate as much as is necessary. Other than that, come out and associate with devotees, read, be engaged in the. That's why Prabhupada created the association of devotees, so that there is an alternative. Alternative association, and where devotional service can be cultivated. So I think that's it. So Raviranjan Prabhupada, it actually cleared my doubts. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for asking. Alright, we will stop here. Jai Shri Upadeshamrita ki Jai, Rupa Gosvami ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Ithai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bo.